Yaffee program on WVNN.
All right, so when it comes to the latest in Iran, there are two stories here. Now, we can all focus on the phone call that Trump had with Netanyahu and what it actually said. I mean, what Trump actually said, what Netanyahu actually said, what the response was. We could totally focus on that, and I'll give you the details. We will talk about that. But there is another story to this. The fact that it leaked is a story in and of itself. Not just because it leaked, but I'm pretty sure Trump wanted it to leak. I think Trump wanted this out there. The administration wanted people to know that he was cussing out Netanyahu. And I'm not a fan of this, I have to say. Now, as you know, I haven't been a fan of a lot of this in the past couple of weeks. I know Trump is saying, just relax. I am with Trump on the goal. I really am. I want to end Iran's nuclear program. I think it's a noble cause. I am not a huge fan of the quasi-ceasefire stuff. And I totally understand why Israel was thinking about going after Hezbollah hardcore again. And we'll explain that in a moment. But Trump is trying to appease part of the base that's upset at him right now over Iran. And unfortunately, you have nut jobs like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, who hate Israel. And it's stuff like this. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this. And some of them are going to be happy I did this to Israel. So I'm going to make sure this leaks. And it's just like, it's just not good. It's stupid. I'm not a fan of this. Like, I'm supposed to be impressed that you're yelling at the Israeli prime minister for wanting to protect his people. So we'll talk about it. I'm not a fan of it leaking. I understand, too, that world leaders will have frank conversations like this. Fine, whatever. But it sounds to me, and it looks to me, like Trump did this on purpose and then made sure it got out there. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe you disagree. If you do disagree, tell me on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. You are listening to the Yaffee program. I am Alabama's voice of reason, Huntsville's conservative conscience, and we have a lot to get to on the show today. We have the Alabama bullet points. We have to talk about, well, Tommy Tuberville did an interview with Fox News talking about this Graham Plattner guy or the James Talrico guy. Basically, Republican chances in the midterms. We have elections going on today in California and some other states. Kind of a big deal, so we'll discuss that. We also have this continuing fight for redistricting in Alabama. Where that is going, kind of hard to tell. I still think the Supreme Court's going to side with the state of Alabama, but it doesn't seem like Alabama's going to go to that 7-0 GOP leaning map. So much pushback. There is a ton of pushback on doing that. I'm not sure it's warranted, but it's out there. So we'll discuss that. In the next hour, we'll get back to the topic of Iran because Victoria Coates is going to join us. She is a former Deputy National Security Advisor, also an expert with the Heritage Foundation. I was in the show with the Yaffee program Rewind. Oh, and Bugsy is here as well. She's producing today. Going to do What's Trending later on. Bugsy, how are you today?
Good morning, Yaffee. Have you ever eaten cereal with cornmeal?
With corn? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's gross. It's really gross. It ruined my entire night last night. So,
why were you doing this?
I was trying to put sugar in my cereal in the middle of the night in the dark.
Oh,
and I grabbed the wrong bag, and I didn't notice it.
I mean, did you notice right away? First bite?
No.
Or did you take three bites?
It took me a few bites, yeah. I was like, this isn't sweet. And then I was like, maybe I just didn't mix it in very well. And
that's funny. I like only to you, Bugsy. I feel like only that kind of thing happens to you.
It's not fair.
No, not fair at all. So you're going to make sure the sugar's in the right place.
I'm just going to throw away the cornmeal. I don't want it anymore.
You're like, what do I need this for?
I don't need it. When I need it again, I'll buy more.
Oh, my gosh. That's pretty funny. All right. If you want to weigh in on the text line, the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. Axios They had the breaking story when it came to Trump versus Netanyahu, I guess. Maybe they're going to meet in the, what do you call it, an arena? Are they building a cage outside the White House? Do you know, Bugsy? Because they're doing that UFC fight outside the White House, and they're building like the structure to tape it and everything. Is it going to be the full octagon cage?
It has to be, right? Otherwise, it won't be like standard, right?
Okay. I don't know. I'm just literally just thinking about that. Okay, well, maybe Trump and Netanyahu are going to fight there. Maybe that's what all this is for. I have no idea. But here's the story. Axios had it. You're blanking crazy. Trump fumes at Netanyahu and call on Lebanon. So President Trump lashed out at Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over Israel's escalation in Lebanon in an expletive-laden call on Monday. Two U.S. officials and a third source briefed on the call told Axios. Why it matters, earlier on Monday, Iran threatened to abandon the negotiations with the U.S. over Israel's actions in Lebanon. On the call, Trump called Netanyahu crazy and accused him of ingratitude, according to the sources. He also put the brakes on Israel's plan to strike Beirut. By the way, this is just more evidence that some of these conspiracy theory nut jobs out there, Israel is controlling us. Obviously not. We have many, many times Trump has done this to Israel. Now, it says, summarizing Trump's remarks to Netanyahu, the U.S. official said, quote, "You're blank and crazy. You'd be in prison if it weren't for me. I'm saving your ass. Everybody hates you now. Everybody hates Israel because of this." He was pissed at one point, yelled at Netanyahu, "What the blank are you doing?" I mean, my response is he's trying to protect his people. He's getting a little impatient. See, Trump's game here, he really believes that we can win this economically, that the blockade, squeeze them economically, try to make a deal, just wait until they crack, that we're going to get a good deal. When? How long is that going to take? Because Iran believes that they can wait Trump out. So that's why Trump's been out there saying, I have all the time in the world. Maybe. I don't think that's true. But, to give you some perspective on this whole issue, I've been playing a lot of cuts from retired General Jack Keane, who is an advisor to the Trump White House. I think he's been a good voice of reason. I think he's on Trump's side in a lot of this. He believes Trump is, he's been skeptical of just making a deal too, but he believes Trump will make the right decision, put it that way. But on the situation with Israel and Lebanon and Hezbollah, I thought he made some good points. Go ahead if you can, Bugsy. Play Jack Keane, cut one for me.
Well, I think what we're trying to get over right now is get control of the ceasefire. Because as we've been reporting for several weeks, right in the Straits of Hormuz and in the area of the Gulf, the Iranians have been violating it. And that occurred just this last several days this weekend. And obviously, CENTCOM has a right to defend itself, and we have done that in shooting down drones, taking down their air defense systems, and defending against missile attacks at Kuwait at a U.S. base there as well. That's one thing.
So one reason I'm playing that cut is to remind everyone, none of this is Israel's fault. None of this is our fault. If there are problems with the ceasefire, if there's a problem in making a deal here, it's because of Iran. As you just heard there, Iran constantly violates the ceasefire. Hezbollah has constantly violated the ceasefire. This idea that, oh my gosh, Israel's crazy, they're getting in the way of this. No, Iran is crazy. Iran is the enemy. Iran has been getting in the way of this, at least the leadership. Not all the people. The people don't have a say, unfortunately, in Iran. Going to play Jack Keane, cut two.
The other thing, in terms of Iranian violations have been taking place, even more significantly, are in Lebanon, Larry. There was an overall ceasefire on April the 8th, and then a specific ceasefire with its specialized terms of agreement written on April the 17th. And since April the 17th, Hezbollah has fired some 2,400 rockets and drones into northern Israel, so much so that many of the towns and villages in northern Israel are no longer inhabited. And the citizens obviously had to get out of there and evacuate because of the multiple hundreds of Israelis that have already been wounded during this time period. Israel cannot sustain that kind of an attack and expect to exist as a nation. And that's why they have been fighting back and expanding their operations in southern Lebanon here to deal with this onslaught that has been taking place. And to hear the leadership of Iran say that Israel is at fault here when they are conducting offensive operations and all Israel is doing is conducting defensive operations. The president has stepped in today to see if he can get this thing resolved.
Exactly right. How long is Israel supposed to take this? Hezbollah constantly violating the ceasefire, launching rockets. They have to evacuate a big part of their country, Israel does. And yet, we're mad at Israel for possibly wanting to attack Hezbollah? We're mad at them? It's Iran that keeps violating the ceasefire. It is Iran, the regime. They're a problem. They can't be trusted. Go on and play cut 3 of Jackeen.
Iran, let's assume we get the perfect deal and they sign. And that doesn't mean they're going to implement it. And the history will say they are not. After all, the reason we went back to actual combat operations after the 12-day war is what? Because our intelligence service, the Mossad and the CIA, revealed to us that they recommitted themselves to return to all of their previous goals, nuclear, ballistic missiles, drones, support for proxies. In their minds, nothing changed. Were they set back? Yes. Was their nuclear program set back? Yes. But they recommitted to it. That is likely. We have to go into the deal and get it when they sign it, understanding full well that they'll recommit to recover completely what they used to have. And that you're absolutely right, Larry.
Paragraph by paragraph. Paragraph by.
So I agree with that completely. I'm curious what you think. I know Trump said, trust him, relax. It will all work out. I've been frustrated by this. I don't like a quasi ceasefire. When you go into a war, you go into finish the job or just don't do it. But maybe the blockade, I mean, by the way, I hope I'm wrong. Seriously. I hope the blockade works. I hope we get a good deal. I hope everything works out like Trump says. But, man, I'm just annoyed at this constant blaming of Israel, and I'm annoyed that the Trump administration decided that they were going to play into that this week. If you want to react, you can. We have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. We have the Alabama bullet points coming up next. Much more to get to on the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program.
We're back on the Yaffee program, News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. You can also listen online as well at WVNN.com, the WVNN app, or any of your smart devices. Got people weighing in on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. I'll get to those in a moment. But right now, we got to get to the headlines. Once again, we have those Alabama bullet points.
Alabama bullet points. Today's headlines from around the Yellowhammer State.
Sponsored by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. Number 4 today, Pat Bishop endorses John Wall for lieutenant governor. Now, Pat Bishop, if you didn't know, he was a former candidate for Alabama lieutenant governor. He only received about 3.3% of the vote in the initial primary election. So he didn't make the runoff, and he has decided then to put his backing behind John Wall instead of Wes Allen. Now, Bishop praised Wall as a principled leader who is not afraid to speak his mind and will answer directly to the people of Alabama rather than the establishment. He expressed confidence that Wall would tackle key issues including education reform, support for military veterans, business growth, problems within state agencies like the Department of Corrections, and lots of other stuff. Department of Human Resources, protection of religious liberty, all of that stuff. So we're getting closer and closer to the runoff. Wall has been endorsed by Trump. I think Wall has a good chance of winning. Number 3 today, State Senator Arthur Orr touts the Literacy Act results. So Birmingham third graders now outpacing New York, Chicago, and Atlanta, which is a big deal. So Orr, co-sponsor of Alabama's 2019 Literacy Act, is highlighting strong recent results from the law. He notes that third graders in Birmingham now outperform peers in major U.S. cities, including New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Tampa, in the share of students meeting reading benchmarks. Now, the gains are based on data from the Retirement Systems of Alabama's April newsletter. The act requires students to read at grade level before advancing from 3rd to 4th grade and includes enhanced teacher training, regular screenings, and targeted interventions for struggling readers. Now, Orr praised dedicated educators and significant state funding for early literacy, calling the progress heartening for a state that historically ranked near the bottom in education. Number 2, no more indoctrinating our kids. That's what Congressman Barry Moore said. He introduced a bill to require parental warning labels on transgender content. I wrote about this at yellowhammernews.com as well. So U.S. Representative Barry Moore, who's also running for the U.S. Senate, introduced a legislation requiring televised parental warning disclaimers on children's programming that includes transgender, non-binary, gender transition, or abnormal gender expression themes. Now, the bill would add these alerts to existing TV rating systems, aiming to give parents clear notice and transparency about content that may promote gender ideology. Now, Moore argued that woke leftist activists and major media corporations have been sneaking such material into kids' shows without disclosure, calling it an effort to indoctrinate children. Now, he framed the measure as a way to restore common sense, hold broadcasters accountable, and respect parental authority. It's sad we need it, but we probably do. And number 1, we have a new Alabama poll that seems to be kind of a fluke, at least in my opinion. It shows that Hudson, Robertson, Allen, and Hill are leaning in the GOP runoffs. Now, other candidates have disputed this, calling it a bogus suppression poll. So a new Alabama poll released on June 2nd shows several candidates leading in the state's Republican primary runoffs scheduled for June 16th. A survey of 600 likely GOP runoff voters found former Navy SEAL Jared Hudson ahead of U.S. Representative Barry Moore in the U.S. Senate race. It was 48 to 39%. Also had Secretary of State Wes Allen narrowly leading John Wall for Lieutenant Governor, 41 to 38%. I think the Jared Hudson one is the surprise because, I mean, for Jared Hudson to get that much, he has to get pretty much all of Steve Marshall's voters, and some have to leave more to go to Hudson, and I just don't think that's going to happen. I have to be real with you. And there have been other polls showing Barry Moore pretty much in the lead. He got the Trump endorsement. I mean, maybe Hudson can figure out a way to win, but the fact he would be 48 to 39 right now, I mean, that literally means that Moore picks up no other voters, that they all just go to Jared Hudson. I find that difficult to believe. By the way, this is brought to you by Larry's Pistol and Pawn. You're going to find it difficult to believe the prices there because they're amazing. Whether you need a new or used firearm or the best in jewelry or looking for other stuff as well, they have all kinds of stuff at Larry's Pistol and Pawn in Madison off Greenbrier Exit 3 by the Big Rusty Water Tower. Go today. When you do, let them know Yaffee sent you.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.
You didn't start a business just to keep the lights on. You're here to sell more today than yesterday. You're here to win. Lucky for you, Shopify built the best converting checkout on the planet. Like the just one tapping, ridiculously fast acting, sky-high sales stacking, champion of checkouts. That's the good stuff right there. So if your business is in it to win it, win with Shopify. Start your free trial today at shopify.com/win.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. Got a bunch of people weighing in on the Yaffee text line, and you can as well. 866-494-9866. 866-494-WVNN. By the way, Bugs, you like how I'm just branding everything Yaffee like Trump does? You know, you have Trump.
I love that, actually.
Okay, I'm trying to think. Is there something, what else could I just brand as mine?
The Yaffee station? We could have the Yaffee Studios.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, and the Yaffee Studio on WYAF. WYAF. Is that where? Change the name of WVNN to WYAF.
Mm-hmm. I think it's great.
And just just like what Trump does. See? All right, here's the text. Someone weighing in on Iran. We were talking about the whole situation at the top of the hour. Said, what's going on with Iran is affecting the entire world's fuel price. Israel's looking out for Israel. They're not looking out for everybody else. Trump is trying to look out for everybody. Israel needs to be communicating their intentions with the United States before they make an action because they owe us that. So if you agree with that or disagree, you can tell me on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866. We'll get to more of Iran later. Maybe I'll ask that to Victoria Coates, who's going to join me later on in the show. Right now, though, we had to talk about the latest when it comes to redistricting. There was some thinking that maybe the Supreme Court would weigh in yesterday or maybe even today in whether to allow Alabama to move forward with the congressional map that they drew, the legislature, that was a 6-1, where 6 of them were GOP leaning. That's what they drew in 2023. We talked about how the 3-judge panel basically said, Alabama, you're still racist, so you're not allowed to do this. I know they're like, we know what the Supreme Court said and all, but we still think you're racist. So you're going to use our race-neutral map, even though our map was not really race-neutral. But we're going to call it that. And the whole thing is absurd and ridiculous. To me, it seems like the Supreme Court should just weigh in immediately and say, no. To this 3-judge panel, they should just say, no. That's what the ruling says. Anyway, I'm going to read some of this from Alabama Daily News here. It says, the Alabama plaintiffs urge the Supreme Court to reject the state's request to use GOP-friendly map. So this is kind of the other side, what they're arguing. So Alabama groups asked the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday to deny the state's request to use a Republican-friendly congressional map in this year's elections. Now, in a series of filings, the civil rights groups and voters asked the Supreme Court to uphold a lower court's ruling preventing the state from implementing a map that a 3-judge panel found to be intentionally discriminatory towards black Alabamians. The plaintiffs urged the justices to keep the current 2024 congressional map in place, which includes 2 black opportunity districts. I have to remind people of that, too. The 2nd district, the so-called black opportunity district, it was basically 50-50. It wasn't even majority-minority. I mean, that's how much they had to stretch things out and finagle the map to get another Democrat seat. I always have to remind people of that. I think people forget about that part. But it says here, this is what the plaintiffs wrote in their filing. It says, entering a stay so that Alabama can at last minute replace a lawful plan that an unlawful and unconstitutional one would create chaos and would reward applicants for their repeated false statements to this court. Now, of course, the state quickly submitted its reply brief Monday, reiterating its support for using the struck-down 2023 map in light of the recent Supreme Court ruling, which gutted much of the Voting Rights Act. Now, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall had asked the Supreme Court last week for an emergency stay of the district court's ruling barring the 2023 map. By the way, Steve Marshall, he was on Capitol Journal. I know we were talking about this a little bit with Todd Stacy yesterday. I was able to grab some of the cuts, and he was kind of asked about this whole process. Go on and play Steve Marshall, cut 1 for me, Bugsy.
Yeah, and let's sort of go back to where we got started. The Calais decision came out involving Louisiana, and we had the ability to support what Louisiana was doing to say is that race cannot be a factor in drawing those congressional districts. Court ultimately approved of that argument, reversed what had taken place in Louisiana, and then it gave us that vehicle to go back to the Supreme Court and say, don't treat Alabama any differently, that we are litigating that same battle. We've been involved in this issue for quite some time. Give us the opportunity to be in the same spot. And so
and you were successful.
We were, and got a very specific order that said we're vacating the order that came originally from the 3-judge panel and remanding it back to that court in light of the Louisiana decision. And so we had the opportunity to go back in front of the 3-judge panel, but what we believe clearly did not take place is for that court to adequately follow the guidance that the Supreme Court had given and to be able to evaluate Alabama in light of those new standards that apply to Section 2 claims.
All right, so he kind of explained all that. So now because of this, and I'm kind of one of these people, because of all the games being played here, especially by that 3-judge panel, I came out and said, forget it. I want a 7-0 map. I want them all to be GOP leaning. I would like a special session to do that very thing. Because I'm just tired of the arguments. I mean, you have Wandel Gavan come out there, call the legislature racist, and then call Clarence Thomas and Uncle Tom. I mean, it's just no pleasing these people. They cannot get rid of the race card. They just are incapable, the party, the Democrat Party, of getting rid of identity politics. Their whole platform is still based on it, and they can't give it up. And I'm just saying, forget it. I'm done with these irrational arguments. But apparently, we've had Tuberville come out. He said there wasn't enough time. Governor Kay Ivey basically said the same thing. And I guess Steve Marshall as well kind of said something similar. So go ahead and play a Steve Marshall cut 2.
I had the speaker in here last week saying, look, they would have had hearings and, going through that process takes a lot of time. But do you think that legally it would have been more successful rather than reverting to the 2023 map?
Well, it would have restarted the clock on the litigation, so that they would be looking at a new map as opposed to what the court had as a record for the 2023 map. And look, timing has really been the significant question here.
Yeah.
The legislature didn't have much of an opportunity to be able to figure out what they were going to do because of the limited window. Give credit to the fact that we now, as a result of the special session, we're able to push back the qualifying dates, but also the primary dates so that we can even be able to litigate where we are. But had Calais come out 2 months before, I think fully being able to draw a new map would have been in play.
So he basically says there, not enough time. Now, you can weigh in on the Yaffee text line and tell me if you agree with him or not. I think Sam Gavan, Arthur Orr, other lawmakers said there's just not enough time. We can do this when Tuberville becomes governor. I wish we could just do it now. It's just kind of crazy because I was told that we had to go back to the 6-1 map because that had a better chance of being upheld in the courts. And then immediately that was struck down in the court. So that argument, I was like, okay, well, if they're going to do this, if they're going to play this game, let's just do 7-0. Now, Steve Marshall, as you know, ran for the U.S. Senate. He lost, didn't make the runoff. But one of the candidates who's still in it is Congressman Barry Moore. And he actually spoke recently on this issue. He wants it to go to a 7-0 map. And he's blaming what he's calling the old guard for not doing this yet. Play the Barry Moore cut for me, Bugsy.
My gut is that we have a lot of Democrats that have changed parties over the year in Alabama. And they're not the true conservative populist people, the president, make America first, make America great narrative. They're more about going along the old guard, business as usual. And this is a time in the nation, the 250th anniversary. We have a chance, and the Declaration of Independence said you have opportunities to remake your government. And I think often we're looking at Donald Trump as probably the greatest president of my lifetime, for sure in my lifetime. 250th anniversary of this nation, and we have an opportunity to fix what's wrong with this country. But we cannot rest on our laurels, and we can't trust the old guard to do it. We've got to charge ahead.
So I honestly don't really know. I'm not sure I buy into that argument. I think there are a lot of Republican lawmakers in Montgomery that really would like to do it, and they just understand the timing issue. But maybe you disagree. Maybe you just think they're not willing. I will say this. Governor Kay Ivey is a part of the old guard. I will say that. One of my biggest complaints of Ivey, and she hasn't done a terrible job, but one of my biggest complaints is she wasn't a visionary conservative leader. She just kind of wanted to, like Barry Moore said, keep things afloat. At least we don't have corruption, and she's a generic Republican. I would agree with that about her. I don't know if I would say that about like Steve Marshall, though, or something. So you can weigh in on the Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, 866-494-WVNN. It just looks like, even though Barry Moore is protesting here, I just don't think we're going to get that 7-0 map until the next census, or at least until 2028. So you can tell me what you think. Right now, real quick, though, definitely got to tell you what I think about the Huntsville Men's Clinic. Well, I mean, they're awesome. They're powered by Men's Pro, and their treatments work. So, guys, as you get older, you lose energy, motivation, drive. You have problems in the bedroom, other issues as well. Maybe you want to lose weight, but you need some help. We'll have the experts help you. I mean, you could go online and just order some pills online, and you could think that's going to work. Probably not. Instead, go see real doctors, real professionals. They use their treatments based on real science, and they work for you. Your first appointment, only $99. You get the lab work, the consultation, everything, and they keep up with you to make sure everything is working. There is a reason why 92% of men that go to the Huntsville Men's Clinic that use these treatments see results. So go to the Huntsville Men's Clinic, make an appointment, huntsvillemensclinic.com, huntsvillemensclinic.com. When you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. We'll be back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
All right, we're back here on the Yaffee program. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. It's a revolution in common sense. Doing my part to make radio great again. All that good stuff. Still got a bunch of people weighing in on the Yaffee text line. Yes, it is just branded Yaffee text line. I mean, that's what Dale should call it too. I should call Chris Reed and tell him to call it the Yaffee text line as well. See, that's what they should do. Anyway, one person said this about redistricting. Said, I was so shocked when they called a special session. I'm not sure that they won't do all that you can do to finish pushing it through, and shocked all the way around. So Mike from Huntsville weighed in and basically said, I'm surprised they did anything, which is the fact they even called a special session was good. So, okay, there you go. Another person. So we had one person earlier blaming Israel for the mess, saying Israel is just looking out for Israel. Trump's doing the right thing. But a person disagreed here, said Netanyahu is doing what he needs to do to protect Israel. Trump is being irrational, hateful, and wrong for verbally attacking Netanyahu. Trump is the one dragging this thing with Iran out. So that's kind of my frustration, that I felt like we have dragged this out. I just don't like the quasi-ceasefire. What's going on? The ceasefire has been going on longer than the original military operations at this point. And both times gas prices were high. So when there were military operations, gas prices were high. When we have a ceasefire now, gas prices are high. So if we're going to have to deal with high gas prices, why don't we just finish the job? Now, someone also sent me an email. You can email me. I always forget to mention that, but it's Yaffee. It's the Yaffee email. See, another thing I branded, just me, but the address really is yaffee@wvnn.com. So it's the Yaffee email. Anyway, one person sent me this email, said Keene is always wrong. So I played cuts earlier of retired General Jack Keene, who basically agrees with me in a lot of this, but said Keene is always wrong, obvious bias. Well, yes, he is biased. I think he admits that. Yes, he is a pundit. He is biased. I am biased. I get it. But the emailer says Keene always gets it wrong, obvious bias. Define the goals of Zionism, please. See, I was with you at the beginning. If you want to email me and say, oh, yeah, I disagree with that because of this and this and this. But when the person is sending an email and saying at the end of it, define the goals of Zionism, please, then I just know it's just, okay, you just hate Israel. Okay, I get it. All right. And we're moving on here. That's all it is at that point. It is no longer a discussion about how to conduct the war and take out Iran and prevent them from getting a nuke. It just becomes this rabbit hole of someone who is blatantly anti-Israel. By the way, speaking of that, I guess we still have to talk about a Nazi who is running for the Senate. Okay, I guess he's not really a Nazi. But I'm literally sitting here and I'm like, what would make someone get a Nazi tattoo? Unless you're a Nazi. But if you're not a Nazi, why? Now, I do like what this said. So there was someone at the Wall Street Journal put it this way. I think this is probably correct. We're talking about Graham Plattner. He's running for Senate in Maine. He's the Democrat, going to be the Democrat nominee. He says, to be blunt, Mr. Plattner seems like the kind of guy whose enlightened, forward-thinking views are all skin deep. While he espouses all the fashionable left-wing priorities, underneath, he's really only a Reddit troll, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, and a big fan of using the R word to insult people's intelligence. I think that's largely correct. You know, when we call him a Nazi or whatever, we're probably giving him too much credit. He's just a nut job. He is just one of these online trolls who thinks it's fun to do outrageous things just because it's outrageous. So there are people out there that just want to be outrageous for the sake of being outrageous. He was like that. He was one of those online trolls that was just outrageous for the sake of being outrageous. And now he's trying to be more serious and run for the Senate. And you can't, because the stuff he was doing online wasn't even that long ago. So this idea that everyone's just going to ignore that and say, yeah, you're a serious candidate. Now, I know Tuberville talked about this. I mean, this guy, it's an easy target for Republicans. He is such an easy target for Republicans. So, of course, they're going to go on Fox News and other places and talk about it. But go ahead if you can. Bugsy, play Tuberville cut one.
Well, there's so many races out there that are kind of up in the air, Harris. You really don't know. But it's just amazing to me how people like this aren't vetted at the end of the day. People decide to run, and they just take for granted, hey, they've done everything in their life that's correct, and it's not going to get out there. The problem now that we're having in candidates running is social media. Anything you put down in social media is going to come back to haunt you. That didn't happen it hadn't been that long ago that it wasn't a big problem, but it's going to be a huge problem in the future.
You know, the whole idea of he's not vetted, the funny thing is he was. A lot of this was known. The Democrats still wanted him. That's what's kind of crazy. Go and play cut 2 of Tuberville.
But what about this tolerance? I mean, the guy had a Nazi tattoo. He's made all these violent comments. I mean, some of this stuff is just out there, and you've got Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey, defending him still.
And Chris Murphy, who just went through a divorce. It's one of those things that just keep crop. They don't have anybody to run. I mean, just look at their presidential candidates. There's nobody out there that's any kind of leader in the Democratic Party, and they're not Democrats anymore. They're all socialists. They've changed, and even the ones that used to be Democrats that believed in this country the way it is, capitalism. They're not there anymore. They're gone, and so this is a new group of people coming in that's absolutely going to destroy their party.
What's left of it. I mean, I go back to what Mike Pence said on Meet the Press. Yeah, some Republicans in many ways have lost their way, but Democrats have lost their minds. And this is an example of that. And it's all going to lead up, by the way, to AOC running for president. Just so you all know that. That's where all of this leads. It all leads to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez being the Democratic nominee for president, which will be a crazy world. All right, coming up next, we'll speak with Victoria Coates. Later on, we have What's Trending. You're listening to the Yaffee program. Stay with us.
The Yaffee program. The Yaffee program on WVNN.
Second hour here of the Yaffee program. And yes, we are here on News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. You can always catch the show live, 9 to 11 a.m. after Dale Jackson, before the Vince Show. But, of course, if you miss it live, the podcast is always up. So go to the website, WVNN.com, or the iHeartRadio app, or anywhere you subscribe, get your podcasts. Please give me a good review, share with your friends, and all of that good stuff. Headline here from Fox News. Marco Rubio lays out Trump's phase 1 and 2 demands in Iran negotiations. So Secretary of State Marco Rubio laid out President Donald Trump's strategy amid peace negotiations with Iran, saying the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz is only a prerequisite for talks. Now, Rubio made the remarks during an appearance before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which is happening as we speak, telling lawmakers that Iran must end its belligerence in the region. He said they have to announce very clearly the straits are now open, we're not charging a toll, we'll help remove the mines that they put in there, and they will not fire on ships. That's what Rubio said. So we got to talk more about this right now with Victoria Coates. She's a national security foreign policy expert with the Heritage Foundation, also a former deputy national security advisor. Victoria, how are you today?
Good morning, Yaffee. I'm well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Now, how are the talks going, you think? We had the breaking news as well that President Trump had a sort of a heated, if that's a word for it, heated conversation with Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Rubio's talking in front of the Senate. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, to the Trump-Netanyahu call, I mean, literally this happens once a month. Now it seems to be happening once a week, that the two of them talk all the time. And they talk, and somebody doesn't like something that happened, and they run to Barak Ravid of Axios and leak that it was a tense phone call. And they literally use the same words about all of them. So having been on some of those phone calls, sometimes they can be tense. I mean, these are serious issues. They're serious people. They know each other very, very well. And Israel has their views, we have ours. And they frequently converge, but not always. So not surprising because, the president's managing a global portfolio here. Israel's looking at something a little bit more regional that you could have a difference of opinion. But the important thing is that the seamless coordination between our militaries continues, and our larger strategic goal of preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon remains in unison. So I think that's what the secretary was talking about. I just read the accounts, so we'll be watching the rest of that testimony to get a full picture of what he gives on Iran. And so, yes, getting the strait open, removing that irritant is, a very strong preliminary step that Iran can take. And the other really important thing about negotiations right now that has remained consistent, the president has said that no cash will exchange hands until the nuclear file is resolved. So that remains just a huge piece of leverage that he has over them, to get to those substantive negotiations. His red lines on the nuclear file are clear, so it's not really that much to negotiate. It's terms to be accepted by the Iranians.
Now, when I look at the details, though, it's hard for me to be upset at Netanyahu for wanting to really go after Hezbollah, because it's my understanding they constantly break the ceasefire. You still have parts of Israel that are evacuated because bombs are still being dropped on them. I mean, how much is Israel supposed to take here?
No, you're 100% correct, and nobody likes Hezbollah. I mean, Hezbollah doesn't like Hezbollah, but this is for the United States, they are also trying to get to some kind of a deal between Israel and Lebanon, the actual government of Lebanon outside of Hezbollah. So I think they would like Israel to focus their attention on the Hezbollah installations in southern Lebanon and not bomb the bejesus out of Beirut right now, because that's where the government of Lebanon is. So no, I have no sympathy for Hezbollah in the abstract. I would like the Israelis to do whatever they feel is necessary to them to do the hard work of disarming them. And the other kind of ironic piece of this is that the government of Lebanon recognizes that they can't disarm Hezbollah, that the Israelis are going to have to do it. But for the moment, I think for the United States, it is better for that work to be done in southern Lebanon.
Speaking with Victoria Coates, she's a national security expert with the Heritage Foundation. Now, gas prices have settled a little bit, but I keep hearing reports that there might be a shortage soon, that we're kind of worried about the supply as the reserves go down. Is that a legitimate concern here?
Oh, for sure it is. Now, the good news is our production continues to go up in both natural gas and oil. And the natural gas is a particular good news story for us because our natural gas supply is largely for domestic consumption, although we have been exporting more as production goes up as well. But our prices are pretty insulated in the United States for natural gas. They've actually gone down a little bit, which has mitigated the increase in oil prices. But even so, oil, everybody was talking about $200 a barrel oil. That has not yet manifested itself, thank goodness. And if we can get some movement out of the Gulf, that should stabilize pretty quickly. And we are turning into the world's gas station of choice, which is great. I was talking to some Japanese colleagues yesterday who were saying they were talking to Alaska about long-term contracts for natural gas. They had not historically done that. Any purchases from Alaska have been spot purchases, but they now don't want to be reliant on the Gulf or, God forbid, Russia for their natural gas, and they're looking to purchase from the United States. So those are all going to be really good developments for us. Where there is an increasing shortage is in refined products, jet fuel, diesel, that kind of thing. Those prices are really getting pretty steep, and that's largely because there isn't enough refining capacity. Asia in particular has neglected that infrastructure. There is none. There is no refining capacity in Australia. They just accepted their first tankers of U.S. refined goods, which is, a terrible source for them. It's so far away. And, so it makes that energy really, really expensive for them. But at the same time, they have to have it because they have not been investing in their domestic refining capacity. So that's something I think we really, really want Australia to do. Because in the event of a conflict with China, if we had significant refining capacity in Australia, that could be enormously useful for us.
Well, we really need to invest in it here too, right? It's my understanding that we still don't have the refining capacity we need in the U.S.
No, we haven't built a refinery since the 1970s. And we've dismantled a number of them. So we're in a better place, but not where we need to be. I agree.
So I'm speaking with Victoria Coates. She's a former deputy national security advisor. How long should Trump wait here? How long do you think this quasi-ceasefire should go on until we say enough and bomb them again? I mean, I've kind of lost patience, I have to admit. But Trump says, he's going to get a good deal. He's going to take as long as it takes. What do you think?
Well, it always makes me happy when somebody's dropping ordnance on the Iranians from a height. So I'm not going to object if that's what he decides to do. But that's really, this isn't a cop-out. That's the president's decision.
Yeah.
And he's shown himself to be quite decisive in moments when that kind of decision is called for. And if he is feeling like he's gaining some traction. The other thing that was interesting is when Secretary Bessent took over the White House press briefing end of last week, one of the things he said is that he sees about 2 weeks, now about 10 days of liquidity for Iran going forward. And that at the end of this period, so sort of mid-June timeframe, they're going to start really running out of money and not being able to pay salaries. That has started, but it's not, a mass salaries not being paid, deposits not being made, that kind of thing. And that they want to get to that point of maximum pain on Iran and then, be in a position to really force them to do whatever they say. And if, the secretary is accurate, and he's been pretty accurate so far, I think we're probably looking at another 10 days.
So before you go, 10 days, that's interesting. Okay, good to have some kind of timeline there. Before you go, I did want to ask you the latest between Ukraine and Russia, because there has been talks that Ukraine has made some gains. Zelensky was on the Sunday shows talking about they need more help. What is the latest there?
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting situation. Over the course of really the last 2 years, but most intensely over the last 18 months, Ukraine has been able to start the large-scale manufacture of these long-range attack drones, which allow them to to threaten some of the main supply routes from Russia, primarily to Crimea, and really complicate their logistics picture. And those drones can replace some of the more expensive American missiles that we've supplied to date that we're running a little bit low on. So that's an incredible technology. Zelensky's been running around the world selling them. And I would say that, however, ironically, that innovation came out of that very difficult Oval Office meeting at the beginning of President Trump's term, when I think Zelensky came out and said, hey, I have to have these things. They'd been working on them, but I think he really lit a fire under that production. Now it's giving them a capability that really, I think, is difficult for Russia. So, I know there is congressional interest in looking at another package for Ukraine. President Trump has given arms and training to Ukraine during the first term. He's done some of it in the second term. So I don't know that that's off the table, especially if Ukraine is making gains. And it's the kind of assistance that will help us, essentially force Putin to the negotiating table to get to the settlement that everybody knows is necessary to end this thing. And last thing I'll say is there's a report in Bloomberg yesterday that the Russian economy, even though they're selling some more gas and oil during the Iran crisis, but their economy has some systematic problems of its own that are starting to give the oligarchs heartburn. And so if suddenly Putin is bad for business, for the oligarchs who hold a lot of the power in Russia, he could face a really interesting domestic political situation that might encourage him to get Ukraine wrapped up.
Victoria Coates is a national security foreign policy expert with the Heritage Foundation. You can read all her stuff at heritage.org. Victoria, really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next time.
Sounds good. Take care, Yaffee.
All right, there you go. If you want to weigh in, you can. We have our Yaffee text line, 866-494-9866, brought to you by RegenesisStemCell.com. You're going to really appreciate them after they help you with that joint pain, or maybe your arthritis. Maybe you deal with neuropathy or just back pain, but you don't want to risk some kind of invasive surgery. There are other options available for you, and they are there at Regenesis Stem Cell Center. Talk with Dr. Charles Lee today. Go to RegenesisStemCell.com. Make an appointment. Very easy to do. They'll talk with you, figure out what's going on, and tell you how your own body's adult stem cells can work. They have the top equipment, and the team there really is just great. And I know this because they helped me. So if they can help me, they can help you as well. Go to RegenesisStemCell.com. Make an appointment. When you do, let them know you heard about it from Yaffee. Back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. Yes, I am Alabama's voice of reason, Huntsville's conservative conscience. Don't forget, you want to like the Yaffee Facebook page, follow me on X at Yaffee or Instagram at Yaffee Live. Now, we still have these stupid protests going on outside an ICE facility in New Jersey. The good news, they did arrest the guy, apparently, who decided it was a good idea to yell at ICE officers, telling them that he's going to kill them and their family. I kid you not. Some idiot protester on camera thought it was a good idea to do that. Thought he wasn't going to be caught. Well, he has been caught. According to CNN here, a man charged with threatening to kill ICE officer as protests continue outside New Jersey detention facility. Days of protests outside an immigration and customs enforcement detention center in Newark, New Jersey have led to clashes between demonstrators and officers and a handful of arrests. Now, one New York man faces federal charges alleging he threatened to kill an ICE officer and his family. I mean, this was on camera, by the way. It's been everywhere. A criminal complaint filed Saturday accuses Nicholas Matthew Selfo, 27, of Brooklyn, New York, of making the threats during protests last week outside Delaney Hall, a privately owned 1,000-bed facility where detainees have alleged inhumane condition for months. So what are the inhumane conditions? They're saying that some of them are going on a hunger strike. Now, Bugsy, when you think hunger strike, I mean, just describe hunger strike. And, it's not a trick question. When someone goes on a hunger strike, Bugsy, what does that usually mean?
They don't eat. They stay hungry.
Okay,
right?
Good.
They starve
you would
themselves.
think so, right? They starve themselves. Okay, yeah, you're good. Apparently, according to several sources, they are refusing the food given by officers. So they're given several meals by the officers there, like any prison. So they are refusing that. But what they're doing then is apparently, and I kid you not, there's a little store, a commissary that the inmates can go to and buy things like candy bars and honey buns and stuff. So apparently these inmates that are on so-called hunger strikes, they're going and buying candy bars and snacks, maybe Little Debbie snacks.
Sticking it to the man and eating honey buns.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Does that sound like a hunger strike to you?
No, the whole point is they're supposed to be worried for your well-being and concerned that if they don't do something differently, you might starve.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something. I mean, I know we're so spoiled in this country that we think just getting snacks, is not enough and we're starving. But I don't think that,
maybe
they changed the definition here. I know we changed definitions a lot. We haven't changed the definition of a hunger strike, have we?
Maybe they're waiting, like they're hoping they'll gain a lot of weight from eating like just candy bars and stuff, and they'll be so concerned that they're just so fat. Like these inmates are massive. Yeah. They'll start giving them things like broccoli, it's other steamed vegetables.
Now, we have some of these Hakeem Jeffries was out there outside of it. He said, this facility needs to be shut down, all that. The usual virtue signaling. But you do have some on the left saying this is a concentration camp. Correct me if I'm wrong, Bugsy. I know I'm just asking you all these questions. Correct me if I'm wrong. Were there like little stores in the concentration camps in Germany where they could buy, oatmeal cream pies or something?
I'm sure there were, right? Surely there weren't.
Was that a thing there?
Surely they wouldn't let them go without oatmeal cream pies, Yaffee.
The Nazis were cruel, but they were that cruel, Yaffee. I heard that report, and I literally couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. These conditions are so inhumane that they get little stores so they can get Snickers and honey buns. Oh, the humanity. Shut it down. I have to remind people, it's the same propaganda press that said border agents were whipping migrants. I don't know if people remember that a couple years ago. Literally, it was border agents on horses using the reins on the horses. And so many media outlets went out there and said, oh, they're whipping the migrants. This is like slavery. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised. But I literally could not believe that when I was hearing that. But the good news is, yes, they did catch the guy who was saying he wanted to. And that's the other thing. Why does it? I'm trying to rationalize the irrational, but I don't understand why a protester would you're on camera and you're yelling, I'm going to kill you and your family. Do they not realize they could be arrested for that? Do they honestly think that's like normal? That's okay? Like they have no concept of consequences for their actions? I don't get it. They live in a different world than I do. That is the truth. All right, we're going to move on to some lighter things with Bugsy and What's Trending. I always end the show with the Yaffee program Rewind as well. We'll be back in a moment on WVNN.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.
News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Welcome back to the Yaffee program. Glad you have joined the show today. Glad you join us every day. Glad Bugsy is here as well. She produces on Tuesdays, and that means it's time for What's Trending with Bugsy.
keeping you up to date with all that's trending in your world.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
You guys know how to post videos to Facebook?
It's What's Trending.
Sponsored by Coleman Furniture Market. You know where it is. Well, I mean, it's in the name, of course, but you should have been there by now in the heart of Coleman, Alabama, because they have the best selection in town. I keep telling you, most of the furniture in my home is from Coleman Furniture Market. So if you're looking for Lazy Boy, Bassett, Rowe, those are top brands, much, much more. Oh, Tempur-Pedic, if you're looking for mattresses, they have those. Just a great place to go. See what they got, and if it's in their showroom and it hasn't been sold already, it's available for you to take home. It's not like other showrooms where they're like, we'll order that in 9 months. No. If it's there, you can buy it, you can take it home, or they can deliver it to anywhere in the state. Go to Coleman Furniture Market today, and when you do, oh, by the way, go to the website, ColemanFurnitureMarket.com, like their Facebook page, and all of that. When you do, let them know Yaffee was the one who sent you. All right, Bugsy, first, my mom says hi. She's listening today.
Hello, Yaffee's mom.
She's your biggest fan, so she's glad you're here.
I need her to do me a favor, by the way. I need her to ship me another case of Mr. Pibb.
Oh, yeah, because they still haven't expanded beyond Florida?
Allegedly they have, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because when I went to that was last year.
I know, and it was supposed to be everywhere else in February, and it's June now.
Okay, well, she probably will. you joke about that, but she might do that. Okay. Other than that, what is number 5?
So number 5 today, it is National Bubba Day. Do you know a Bubba? Do you have a Bubba in your life, Yaffee?
Do I have a Bubba? I think there's one of the texters who's named Bubba.
Well, it's his day today. It's also my brother's day. I call my brother Bubba because I am a true Southerner. You can't tell based on my voice, but I am born and raised here, so I grew up calling him Bubba. Okay. It is also like when you're really little, a lot of kids will say Bubba because it's easy to say. And I am 28-ish now. So,
yeah,
and
usually you grow out of it.
Usually grow out of it. I go to my brother's workplace a lot, and I'm like, hey, Bubba. He seems embarrassed when I do it, so of course I'm going to do it more. Of course. Okay, what else? It's also I love my dentist day. I don't really love my dentist. Do you?
I know. Who loves their dentist? Well, I guess some people maybe do.
I think Dale does.
He does? He loves his dentist? Oh, well, yeah, I forgot who his dentist is. Yeah, he is awesome.
Yeah, if that were my I found out the other day, I think he was my dentist at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I didn't realize that. I still want him to give me like a black market gold tooth, and he won't. So that's why I don't love him.
Darn. Well, I really need to go to the dentist. Actually, it's been a bit.
Yeah, I was prepped for an implant and then never got it. So
seriously?
Yeah, it was like 2 years ago now. I was out for like 3 days because I couldn't talk because I had like I had a bone. What is it called? Where they. What is it called? It's not like a blood transfusion, but like when you get like another arm transplant. I had like a bone transplant in the roof of my mouth.
You get an arm transplant?
It exists. Okay, they exist, Yaffee.
All right. Okay, well that's concerning. So you do need to go to the dentist. Jeez.
I want a gold tooth. It's going to be awesome.
Anything else today?
It's also National Leave Work Early, so I guess that's it. It's my day to leave early. I'm getting out of here.
Oh my gosh.
We're ending on number 5.
Is that it for today?
No, it's also rotisserie chicken day and I know, right? And Beetlejuice's birthday. When I read that it was National Rotisserie Chicken Day, the first thing I thought was, man, I want a brisket sandwich from Buc-ee's. It had nothing to do with it.
I was about to say, but
it made me really want one.
Not the same cooking style. None of that is similar.
Well, nobody sells a rotisserie chicken sandwich, so.
There's got to be somewhere that does.
No, there's not. They don't exist.
Anyway.
Anyway.
I was going to say, it's funny because we were at Costco yesterday, my family, and they had a couple rotisserie chickens left for $5.
Did you get all of them?
Well, there's only 2. It wouldn't have been that bad.
Both of them?
But no, we got one.
Fill up your fridge with them.
I mean, if they have, because they'll run out sometimes. But if you're there and it's like, it's $5, I got to get it. I mean, it's legit. Do we need it? No, but it's $5, so we have to.
I'm going to tell Dale about this.
Oh, okay. The great Dale Ramsey. No, that's the right thing to do. Spend it on rotisserie chickens.
To just impulse buy rotisserie chickens whenever you see them?
Yes, at Costco, $5.
Okay. I was surprised when you showed me your new car that the trunk wasn't full of them.
Oh, man, I totally forgot, too. I was going to send you guys a picture because they had a 90-inch TV.
Oh, my God, did you get it?
I wanted to tell Dale I got it. Look,
that would have been really funny.
98 inches.
That's so specific. Why not 100 at that point?
I don't know, but I'll send you the picture. It's literally
I'm going to Photoshop it into a car that looks like yours and tell them that you bought it.
And I'm like, what? Well, I don't think I could get it in the car. Just
tell them you don't need it. After you buy it, just say, I don't need it, and then leave.
I don't even know. It was surprisingly affordable, too. That was the other part.
Somebody needs to take away your debit card, Yaffee.
If I'm getting lectured by you about spending, I do have a problem. All right, what's number 4?
So number 4 today, Yaffee, are you bothered by AI search engines?
Not really.
I am. I am. I really am, because I never get what I want from them. So recently, after Google announced that they're going to be going all in on their AI search engine, they're kind of half in right now.
Gemini?
Yeah, DuckDuckGo.com, another alternative search engine that some people use, mostly I was going to say old people, but I also use it. They have a new no AI search engine that has tripled in traffic since Google's plan was revealed. You can get to it by noai.duckduckgo.com, but I thought it was interesting. They also have an AI maximalist search option called duck.ai. So I guess both options if you want them right there.
I will say, I mean, I don't mind the AI part where it tries to give you an answer, but the search part is what happened to Google?
Yeah, it's awful. It is absolutely awful.
The search has been terrible.
So bad, so bad.
If you want to find something specific, it's like you can't find it anymore.
I know typing Reddit after it doesn't work anymore either. It's annoying. But
yeah, that is a good point. I guess because they want you to use the AI and stick to the AI.
I really don't want to. Leave me alone. Let me just search normally.
I know. Seriously, that's actually pretty smart by DuckDuckGo. All right, what's number 3?
So number 3, something some people have been searching because it is now Pride Month and Sesame Street. I say it is now Pride Month like we celebrate it. June is technically Pride Month, I believe, and Sesame Street is celebrating Pride Month. So because of this, people are now wondering. We know which Muppets are gay. Okay, it's Bert and Ernie.
Yes, of course.
But which one is trans?
Well, isn't it Miss Piggy? Isn't that what they say?
So a lot of people
Which also means Kermit's gay, right?
No, Kermit's straight, Yaffee. What are you talking about? Miss Piggy transitioned after, I'm sure.
Oh, okay.
I imagine she's female to male, right? not male to female. But the one people are actually saying is Skeeter. Skeeter is most likely the trans Muppet.
See, I thought that would have been non-binary.
I'm counting that as trans, okay?
Okay, I think it would be non-binary. That one's the non-binary.
Do you think Scooter is as well? Or are they the same Muppet?
Maybe, yeah. By the way, I do like what they did in Tennessee. The governor's like, we're just going to call it Nuclear Family Month. And it's like, just the complete opposite.
Just replace it. It's fine.
It's like legit what they did. I was like, that's awesome.
I mean, can't it just be like 2? A day, though? I'm just saying, like Pride Day. Number 2, people are slapping each other with tortillas, Yaffee.
They are?
Yes. And so because of this, an animal shelter in Rossville, Tennessee is doing a telethon event, and they're claiming that tortilla slaps will be involved in this somehow, and I'm not really sure how that's going to fit in, but they did go viral
send
for
me this,
it.
by the way. So please email me this. I want to know what this is.
This is something called the Tortilla Slap Challenge. It's, of course, going viral on TikTok especially, where you can record yourself slapping somebody with a tortilla. So they slap, 2 people have tortillas, and they slap each other, and the first one to laugh loses. I would start crying. Like, what if it hits me in the eye?
It could hurt.
I know, yeah.
How big are these tortillas?
I guess it depends on what size tortilla you buy.
We're talking about
the
soft ones, right? We're not getting like the hard shell.
Oh, I'm getting a hard shell one now. Well, that's a tostada. Yeah.
Take out an eye with one of those things.
Just frisbee it. Just frisbee your tortilla.
So this is happening at an animal shelter too?
I guess. I mean, are we slapping the animals? It just seems like poor taste.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I don't put that out there.
I guess you're doing like you pay enough and then you see somebody do it, but I don't know.
Do you get an animal?
And you get an animal? I don't know.
It'd be funny if it worked though. All of a sudden, it's like adoptions are up 50%
because we're slapping each other with
tortilla.
So would knowing someone might have been slapped with their tortilla at a restaurant, Yaffee, would that deter you from eating there, though?
Huh. That's a good question. I would say so, unless they cook. Is it? Yes. I'm just going to say yes. I feel like there's no good answer, but yes.
What if you get a discount?
It's like, how hungry am I? Was I in a hunger strike? And then...
Well, if you're you should be fine. You ate a bunch of honey buns.
You get honey buns and stuff if you're on hunger strikes now. Yes.
So you wouldn't care. You wouldn't care, basically, is what you're saying.
Ignorance is bliss.
So moving on to number 1, Bricks and Minifigs is under fire online after a recent, what I'm calling a $200,000 Lego theft from 2 guys. So,
oh, geez.
Of course, Bricks and Minifigs is a massive chain. Our local franchise is awesome. It is completely unrelated to the one that is under fire that was in Oregon. It has since closed down. These people, they had their Legos on consignment at this location, and then the owners of that store stepped out, and the corporate took it over, handed it over to other people. They said that they would honor the original consignment contract. Okay, it was mentioned in a video when they were transferring ownership, and afterwards, the new owners claimed that they knew nothing. They had they didn't have to honor the contract. And they also said that they had $5,000 worth of these people's Legos. Again, this was $200,000 worth of Legos. It was tons and tons of sets. And afterwards, the people whose Legos they were ended up suing these guys in small claims court, winning. And then Bricks and Minifigs closed the location so that they wouldn't have to pay out the lawsuit.
Really? So there's just people losing a lot of money on their Legos?
Yeah, and so now, this is actually like a small YouTuber, and so he posted about it online. People started hearing about it, and they wanted to donate so that he could sue the new owners personally instead. That's the only way to get the money afterwards. And so they did this. They started getting money for it. The guys ended up going to Utah to the headquarters of Bricks and Minifigs, and he got arrested, Yaffee. He got arrested for harassment and extortion.
Really?
And was held for a month.
No, they won't pay him?
Yes, and the judge ended up throwing it out and letting the guy go, and he has now fled to Mexico.
Oh, that seems very extreme,
He's now
but okay.
fled to Mexico because of
Over
this.
Legos?
It's insane. Apparently they were getting...
happening?
I mean, who would have thought Legos, money, heroin, and Mormons had anything to do with this, Yaffee? Because they were also reported for having heroin on them. They did not. But these guys just kept going after them, trying to get them arrested.
Escalated very quickly.
Right?
It's just, I don't know.
Like, who would have thought Legos,
By the way, I get the name now. Because Dale was like, "Do you know what Bricks and Figs are?" And I was like, "I have no idea." Now it's Legos, bricks and figurines,
yeah. Bricks and Minifigs. Yeah.
I was thinking it was like Fig Newtons or something. I don't know. What are you?
Well, you're on a hunger strike, so you got it on your mind.
Yeah. Wow, that is a crazy story.
It's insane. If you want to hear more about it, you can just go on YouTube, search it. There's like a 2-hour long video you can listen to about it. Very interesting.
Oh, all right. Well, there you go, Bugsy. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll be back in a moment on the Yaffee program.
The Yaffee program.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program. I'm laughing because I'm getting texts coming in about Bugsy's bone transplant in her face.
Sorry, bone graft. Bone graft, Yaffee.
Bone transplant in your face. That's what I'm calling it. No, yeah, you were trying to think of the word graft because you said you went to the dentist and were prepped for a tooth graft, I guess.
No, a tooth implant.
A tooth
They weren't going to
implant.
graft a new tooth on. They were going to just
I don't know what's
install
happening.
it.
And someone said, yeah, it's not a transplant, it's a graft.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the word. I was like, I don't know, blood transfusion, but with bone.
Somebody else texted and said, stop drinking all the Mr. Pibb. Maybe you won't need a tooth transplant.
I can't help it, okay? The new recipe is delicious.
Is it like better? Really?
It's way better. It tastes like old Mr. Pibb. Pibb Extra isn't the same. It's gross.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Wow. Maybe my mom will send you some from Florida.
Please, I need it.
You need it.
I need it.
All right, let's end the show like we usually do. We have the Yaffee program rewind. Yeah, that time of the show where I remind you if you missed any of it live, the podcast is up on the website, WVNN.com. You can also download the WVNN app or get it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that stuff. And it's brought to you by Jay's Appliance Outlet. If you're trying to update your home, and you got to make sure those appliances are the best you can get, but you don't want to pay too much, of course. Well, you want a great deal on the top brands. Go to Jay's Appliance Outlet. They're located in Athens, off 72 in Athens. They service what they sell as well, so that means you buy an appliance, you get it for a great price. It's going to last a while, and if there is a problem, they can fix it for you. Plus, they can deliver to the area. Jay's Appliance Outlet. What you want to do is dial pound 250, say the keywords Jay's Appliance Outlet. Go today. When you do, let them know Yaffee sent you. All right, today we started the show talking about Iran because apparently Trump was cussing out Netanyahu today over a phone call because Prime Minister Netanyahu was thinking about doing a military operation in Beirut against Hezbollah, and that's ruining this so-called ceasefire. I'm calling it a quasi-ceasefire. So Trump got mad at that. I was more upset not only that Trump did that, but that it leaked. And it seems like it was intentionally leaked because there are those within the Trump administration who want to placate those in the party, the populist right, who hate Israel. So they're trying to throw them a bone, I guess. And I don't want to throw them anything. They're annoying. But also, General Jack Keane was on Fox News talking about it. Skip down to cut 2 of what he said for me.
The other thing, in terms of Iranian violations have been taking place, even more significantly, are in Lebanon, Larry. There was an overall ceasefire on April the 8th, and then a specific ceasefire with a specialized terms of agreement written on April the 17th. And since April the 17th, Hezbollah has fired some 2,400 rockets and drones into northern Israel, so much so that many of the towns and villages in northern Israel are no longer inhabited. And the citizens obviously had to get out of there and evacuate because of the multiple hundreds of Israelis that have already been wounded during this time period. Israel cannot sustain that kind of an attack and expect to exist as a nation. And that's why they have been fighting back and expanding their operations in southern Lebanon here to deal with this onslaught that has been taking place. And to hear the leadership of Iran say that Israel is at fault here when they are conducting offensive operations and all Israel is doing is conducting defensive operations. The president has stepped in today to see if he can get this thing resolved.
Yeah, and we had a good text on this as well. Said if the U.S. was being attacked, like Israel is being attacked by Hezbollah in Lebanon, and another country was telling us not to respond because there is a ceasefire agreement being made, would we just sit back and not respond? I say no. That was Mike and Madison weighing in. It's a good point. How much is Israel supposed to take here? So we talked about that at the beginning of the show. We also have the Alabama bullet points. I'll post that on my social media later. So like the Yaffee Facebook page, follow me on X at Yaffee, or go to Instagram at Yaffee Live. Then we did talk about the latest with redistricting. Steve Marshall said there really isn't enough time to go to a 7-0 map. Barry Moore says it's just the old guard trying to keep things the way they have been. I don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully the Supreme Court does weigh in on this sometime this week, and I think they're going to side with Alabama. I know some people disagree with that, but I think they will. So we talked about that. We also talked about Graham Plattner who has a Nazi tattoo. I still don't understand why someone would get a Nazi tattoo, other than the fact that he's just one of those people that trolls online and is outrageous for the sake of being outrageous. But now he's trying to have a legitimate campaign, and his past is catching up with him. So we had that. We had a great interview with Victoria Coates as well, talked about the protests in New Jersey and what's trending with Bugsy. If you missed any of that, the podcast is up on the website. Thanks to Bugsy for producing. The Vince Show is up next. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. See you then.
It's the Yaffee Program on WVNN.